Hello, welcome to MathPro by Bloom Academy. All right, in this video here, I'm going to give you another chance to master solving quadratic equations. So you see in this equation right here, see this x, this x is the same as x to the power 1. So it's got a power of 1. Okay, so, and there's 1. So all the x's in here have powers of 1, just 1. So I can solve it. And because it has power of 1, I'll end up with just one value of x. Okay. Now, in a quadratic equation, okay, typically the variable, just like say x squared or any variable y squared that you're solving for will have two values because what? It's squared. The power is 2. Okay, and later on in higher mathematics, you're going to see 3. That means you're going to have 3 values of x and then four values of x. Okay, so now we're dealing with quadratic, 2 values of x. Okay, so now let's try to solve some quadratic equation. Now, when you have a quadratic equation, you ask yourself, is the expression here, is it equal to 0? Okay, if it's equal to 0, then all you have to do is factor the expression and then solve for x. If it's not factored already, then you have to factor it. If it's factored, like here, it's already factored. If it's factored already, then you just solve for x equals 0 and then x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so the whole thing is to look at the quadratic equation and ask yourself, is it equal to 0 or not? Okay, so for example, here it is equal to 0. So I just factor it myself. Factors of 2 that add up to 3 is 1 and 2. I solve for my x, okay. What if it's not equal to 0? Okay, it's not equal to 0, but we have one term on the left, one term on the right. One term is squared, it's x squared, okay. One term squared equals one constant term. How do I solve for it? Okay, so, and here's another example. This is one term, okay, because of the parenthesis, x minus 3, okay, becomes one term. So x minus 3 all squared is one term because of the parenthesis, but we have x minus 3 are two terms, x and negative 3. Okay, so the parenthesis makes it one term. So we have one term squared equals constant term. Okay, if you have something like so, it's not equal to 0, okay, but we have something squared equals a number. What do? You take square roots. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 9, remember, is positive 3 or negative 3 because negative 3 times negative 3 equals 9. So remember, negative times negative is positive. So if when you take a square root of a positive number, you have a negative and a positive answer. So those are the two values of x. Okay. What if we have x minus 3 all squared? Okay, this is one term and equals 16. What do? We take a square root of both sides. When you take a square root of x minus 3 all squared, take a square root of that, we end up with just x minus 3. So square root of a squared is a. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of a minus b all squared is a minus b. Okay, all right. So you take square root of both sides, and then you get x minus 3. This is equal to what? Square root of 16 is either 4 or negative 4. Always keep that in mind. So we solve two equations. X minus 3 is either equal to 4 or x minus 3 is equal to negative 4. Okay, and then you solve for both here, plus 3, and here x equals 7, x equals negative 1. Those are your two answers. Okay, all right. So if it's not equal to 0 and you don't have it in this form, okay, or that form, or that form, or that form, okay, and it's not in this form either, that form either, okay, then we have to make it look like, rearrange it to make it equal to 0 or in the form this x squared, okay. So for instance, we have x parenthesis x minus 5 equals 0. Here, what do we do? Okay, it is equal to 0 already. So what do we do? And it's already factored. So we solve for x equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. What about this side here? This is not equal to 0. So we need to rearrange it, right? And make it equal to 0. How do we do that? We distribute this is x squared minus 5x equals negative 6. And the next step is plus 6 plus 6. And then we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. See, now we have rearranged it. We've made it equal to 0. And we factorize this right here, expression here, factors of positive 6 that add up to negative 5. This would be x minus 2, x minus 3. Okay, so what about this one here versus that one? So here it is equal to 0. It's not factored, so we have to factor it. Factors of 2 that add up to 3 will be here. So we get x plus 1, x plus 2. Here, it's not equal to 0. Let's make it equal to 0. So what do? We subtract 8 from both sides, and then we end up with 3y squared minus 2y minus 8 equals 0. This is what we are going to factor, etc. equals 0. What about this one? This is already equal to 0, and it's already factored. We solve for that. What about this here, this one versus that one? Okay, so here you realize this is equal to 0, but there's a 6 being added. So we need to expand this whole thing here. Expand it, right? If you expand it, and then add the 6 equals 0. You need to expand it, add your 6, and then so you can come and say x squared minus x equals 0. This is what now you need to factor and solve for x. All right, this is a review, so I'm moving a little faster. What about this expression right here? Okay, it is one term on the left squared equals one constant term. So what do? I take square root of both sides. Square root of x minus 1 all squared equals square root of 9. Square root of this is x minus 1. Square root of this is plus or minus 3. Remember. So you say x minus 1 equals 3 or x minus 1 equals negative 3. This is what you need to solve. What about this side right here? Okay, see, it's different from this here. Here we have just one term on the left, one term on the right. This is different. So what are you going to do? You need to open this up, okay, multiply by 3, so 3, and then you expand this x minus 1 all squared. Do you remember? Remember how to do a minus b all squared? A minus b all squared is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. We apply that to expand this. This becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1. Then plus 5x equals 5. Then we distribute a 3 through it. 3x squared minus 6x plus 3 plus 5x equals 5. We group like terms, this and that. 3x squared minus 6x plus 5x plus 3. I move this over here. Minus 5 now is equal to 0. This is 3x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. This is what finally, now see, equals 0. This is what you are going to factorize and solve for your x, right? Using the AC method, right? 3 times negative 2 is equal to negative 6. Factors of negative 6 that add up to negative 1. What is that? Negative 2, negative 3, and then what? Positive 2. Okay, so you get that one? All right, so this is a quick video to straighten up some of the confusion in solving quadratic equations. So it's either equal to 0, okay, or it's not equal to 0. If it's not equal to 0, okay, and it's in this form, fine, take square root of both sides and then solve for it, okay? Otherwise, what we have to rearrange the equation to make it equal to 0 or make it equal to something like this, okay? So for instance, if we have x squared plus 7 is equal to 56, Okay, what do you do? Okay, what you do here is, this is not an x term, so what are you going to do? You say x squared, this is minus 7 equals 49. Now you've brought it into one of the forms, and then what? You take square root of both sides and you find your x. All right, I hope this helped. Got a bunch of exercises for you. Do it and submit it to me by the end of the day. All right, have a good evening. What have I been telling you? I say apply yourself well, and all things being equal, you shall what? Bloom. Welcome to Bloom Academy. Good night.